You're listening to The Bloodshed Baddies.
Hi, I'm Lex.
And I'm Sam.
And we are the Bloodshed Baddies.
Merry Christmas, baddies.
Merry Christmas. Speaking of which, for our intro today, Samantha, I want to know what are your top three favorite Christmas movies?
Controversial, but my number one favorite is Die Hard. It's a Christmas movie. You can't tell me it's not. My husband tries to tell me it's not, but it is, Brandon. Sorry. And then I love Elf. Elf is really funny. And oh my gosh, it's so sad. What's that so sad one that makes me you and mom cry? About the
Oh,
angel, 3 days or something?
three. Yeah.
I haven't seen that in years, but that one gets the heartstrings.
That
What
was like
about
a
you?
Hallmark movie. So, my number one of all time favorite Christmas movie ever is The Santa Claus with Tim Allen.
Oh, I forgot about that one. That one is such a good one. That's classic.
Yeah, it's definitely my favorite. My second favorite, also controversial, is Gremlins. Gremlins is a Christmas movie.
Okay, explain that.
It's his Christmas present. I used to watch it
Okay.
every Christmas Eve the last couple years. And then probably, that's a good question. I should have thought of my third one.
I was
I
just
had
gonna
my
say you
two
thought of
locked
this
and loaded.
question.
Yeah, probably, I think The Grinch with Jim Carrey.
Oh, another great one. Those are classic ones. Did you see that Lifetime made a movie about like Taylor Swift and Travis Kelce, basically?
I did, and Dustin and I tried to watch it, but you can only watch it if you have like their app, and I don't.
My friends Chelsea and Eric, her husband, they watched it and I saw them over the weekend. And she was like, it's cute. You have to watch it. They have like so many song references. And like, if you're a Taylor Swift fan, you would love it because of that.
Mama
Yeah.
Kelsey's in it.
Is she?
Yeah, Mama Kelsey's in it.
Girl work. But her husband did say, like, it's too cheesy for me. And he told me he rated it a 3 out of 10.
I
What's your-
love a cheesy movie. Dustin and I watched Hot Frosty the other day.
What is Hot Frosty?
It's the new Netflix one where the snowman comes to life and it's a hot guy.
No, I can't get behind too cheesy. That's ridiculous.
We played a drinking game with it. We drank some different eggnog flavors. It was
Oh,
very
that's
yummy.
cute. Also, in honor of it going to be like the day before Christmas Eve when this comes out, I'm in my Christmas PJs today.
Oh, how cute.
We hope you all have a very, very Merry Christmas and have a great time celebrating, no matter how you celebrate or holiday season. And yeah, all right. We ready?
I'm ready. Lego.
All right, baddies. I'm going to talk about today arguably one of the most notorious cases in Lewis County, Washington's history. Today's case is the murders of Ed and Minnie Maurins. Have you ever heard of this?
I feel like I have, but I don't know if I'm mixing it up with another case.
Now, I know I usually go hard in the paint with background information, but unfortunately, I don't have much today. Wilhelmina Mary Kerpes, who goes by Minnie, was born on December 25th, a little Christmas baby.
I think it's Wilhelmina.
Wilhelmina. I did look it up, if I'm being
Oh,
honest. But you're probably right because you know me, I still get words wrong. But she is a little Christmas baby born December 25th, 1901 in Roseland, Adams County, Nebraska.
I don't know this case. This is way too old for the case I'm thinking of.
Eventually, she makes her way to Washington and she marries a German man named George Hedler. Her and George get married May 21st, 1923, and together they have 5 children, 2 of which seem to sadly have passed away from miscarriages, I believe, which is really, really sad. So they altogether have 3 living children. Also, very sadly, George Hadler ends up passing away November 28th, 1958, at the age of 59. And I could not find out how he passes away because that's young. But Minnie eventually meets Edward Morin, who goes by Ed. He was born June 11th, 1904, in Chehalis, Lewis County, Washington. Ed and Minnie, which is like the cutest grandparent names in the whole entire universe, eventually get married, and together they live in Lewis County, which is a very small, close knit logging community. Ed and Minnie actually live on a 120-acre farm, and it's a Christmas tree farm. Which, how cute is that?
Oh my gosh, that's fun.
I know. This Christmas tree farm also helps employ a lot of people in the town, so they're doing very well for themselves. And by 1985, Ed is 81 years old and Minnie is 83 years old. So just like cute old people owning a Christmas tree farm. They're also grandparents at this point, and they are very, very involved in the community. They're just happy. They're taking care of each other as they grow older. And again, really involved in the community, so much so that people say Ed and Minnie were like everyone's grandparents in the town.
Oh my God, that's so cute.
I know, I just want them to be my grandparents. One of Minnie and Ed's sons, Dennis Hadler, was also very well known in the community because he was the owner of Dennis Hadler Logging, and that was one of the largest logging companies in the Northwest at the time. So Dennis is doing very well as well, and also employing a lot of people in the community. So they're big people in this community. Anyway, on December 19th, 1985, Shirley Hadler, Dennis's wife, receives a concerning phone call from someone at Minnie's church. Minnie was having an early afternoon holiday luncheon for her church friends, which is also like so wholesome. The woman calling told Shirley that they were at the Maurins, but no one was home. This was very unusual for Minnie and Ed, so Shirley goes to check the situation out. When Shirley got there, she found the house locked, Ed's pickup truck out back, but their 1969 green Chrysler Newport was not there. This was also unusual because Ed and Minnie were known to keep their front door unlocked, and a car was gone. So Shirley calls Minnie's daughter Hazel, who contacted several other people, but no one had seen the Maurins. Hazel meets Shirley at the house. I'm thinking she had the key to the house because then they get into the house and they find Minnie's purse still in the house, which is another red flag because Minnie never ever left the house without her purse. They also see a bunch of bank statements laid out in plain sight. So Shirley and Hazel call the police. When the police get there, they notice no forced entry. They take into account the purse and the bank statements, and they also notice the blinds are closed where the Christmas tree was. And as a reminder, Ed and Minnie owned a Christmas tree farm. So especially around this time of year, they never closed the blinds because they wanted people to see like their beautiful Christmas tree.
Yeah, drive by and be like, oh, I gotta go get a Christmas tree from their Christmas tree farm.
Exactly. So another red flag. And this leads the police to quickly theorize that Ed and Minnie have been kidnapped. Theories behind the kidnappings would be the fact that they are known to be doing really well for themselves. So maybe they're being held somewhere until they give money. Or if you remember, their son Dennis also has his own company that is doing really well. So police are thinking maybe they will send him a ransom soon.
Okay.
The next morning, December 20th, 1985, an employee at the Yard Bird Shopping Center reports a car in the parking lot that looks like Ed and Minnie's. Detectives immediately respond to the vehicle and confirm that it is Ed and Minnie's car. It is covered completely in ice that they can't even see through the windows. So as not to get fingerprints on the window, one of the detectives blows like cold air on the glass and it clears up the ice, and he pops his head to take a look in and sees that the car is covered in blood.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. They eventually get the car opened and they see shotgun pellets in the dash, Ed's hat that he is known to wear all the time on the floor, but no sign of Ed and Minnie. So they automatically think that they are in the trunk. They open it up and they are nowhere to be found, and the hope of kidnapping starts to fade.
At least not kidnapping for ransom.
Yes. During these few days, the family and a few hundred people are getting together with search and rescue looking for Ed and Minnie. They are sectioning areas off and searching through the vast woody surrounding areas. But still, nothing is being found. That is until Christmas Eve. December 24th, 1985, a man traveling the logging road, Stearns Hill Road, thinks that he sees a CPR practice body, but upon closer I know, it's awful. But upon closer inspection, and so sadly, he sees that it is the body of Minnie Maurin. Ed is in the brush close by.
Ugh.
The police come and they note that Minnie was shot in the left shoulder and neck, and Ed was shot square in the back. This is also really sad. It also appears that Ed had experienced some head trauma that indicates that he had been beaten prior to his death.
Oh my God. Who can be an 83-year-old man?
He's 81, but still, she's 83.
81. Anyway.
Who, exactly. They're these old, sweet people, and somebody murdered them. And there are also drag marks, which point to them being dragged from their car and dumped where they were found.
So that is not where they were killed. It's where they were
Correct.
dumped.
Yep. And I believe that they're summarizing based on the car. They probably were shot in their own car and then dragged there. Just a devastating Christmas Eve find for the family and the town. And so close to Minnie's birthday, which was the next day. The family and even the public, because remember, they're like the town's grandparents, are just in shock and obviously so upset. At Ed and Minnie's funeral on December 28th, Dennis, the son, puts his hand on his mother's casket and says, "Mom, we are going to catch him," and makes a promise that they will figure it out because at this point, there are no leads.
I really hope it's not this guy.
The public starts asking about it constantly, but unfortunately, there's no murder weapon, there's no fingerprints, there's no DNA evidence because at this time it wasn't as advanced, so there's nothing really to go off of. Besides, they did find a bank receipt in Ed's pocket.
That's weird. You don't just carry around bank receipts in your pocket.
Yes, which is what the police thought. And the police investigate the bank receipt a little further, and they found out that Ed called the Chaleas Bank the morning of his disappearance and asked if they had $8,500 on hand to give him, which that was 1985. So today, that would have been worth about $24,936.
Woo!
So a pretty darn significant amount.
If I was that bank person, I'd be like, we're getting robbed today, friends.
My cute old Ed. The bank told him they could get it together for him, but it would be a minute because, again, that's a lot of money.
Mm-hmm.
When he got to the bank, the money wasn't ready, but instead of waiting in the bank, he goes back to his car to wait. The teller finally gets the money together and walks out to go tell him, but before she could get really close to the car, Ed was walking out, and it appeared that he was kind of like rushing to her before she could get close enough to the car.
Someone's in that car with him.
Mm-hmm.
Someone who's expecting this money.
The teller told the police she thought she saw someone else in the car, but she couldn't be too sure. She wasn't close enough.
And Ed's trying to protect that person, whoever it is. Or they threatened him enough that he doesn't want anybody else to know there's somebody in the car.
Good theorizing, Luck. Another thing the police also found upon further investigation was that there were cigarettes in Ed and Minnie's car, and Ed and Minnie did not smoke. So with both the banknote and the cigarettes, this leads the police to start looking at the family. They think it must be someone in the family because they would know Ed and Minnie would have that kind of money. Mike Hadler, which is Dennis's son, the Maurins' grandson, smoked cigarettes.
Oh.
Mike also had a temper and drank a lot. He had a history with law enforcement because of this. He also saw the grandparents on Sunday before the Maurins disappeared. Mike just took them to run some errands. So the police, among others, start to believe Mike Hadler is involved in some way.
If he did this to his grandparents, boy, oh boy.
This leads Mike to get even drunker, to start even more fights because he's angry that the police would think that he did something to his grandparents.
Real mature way to handle it, Mike.
The police also focus on another grandson of the Maurins, Rodney. But besides speculation, they don't have anything to stick the murders on Mike or Rodney. Another concern of the police is that the road I-5 runs right through the county, which brings a lot of people who aren't locals. Ed and Minnie were also owners of that Christmas tree farm, so workers could also be suspects. So the police are honestly kind of lost.
Yeah, it sounds like they can't really narrow anything down.
Yes. 12 days after the murders, December 31st, they get a big tip from two ladies that saw a man with a rifle wrapped in something. I think they said a blanket or something, but like not in a case like a rifle should be carried in. This man was walking across the parking lot of Yardbirds towards the trees where they found the Maurins' car. They give a pretty decent description. He had dark brown hair, a bunch of other things, etc. And they release a sketch that causes a bunch of people to call in saying they think it's basically whoever they see in the sketch, unfortunately. So a lot of possible suspects. It is also important to note here that Mike Hadler does not fit the description at all.
Oh, okay.
The police
what about
also
Rodney?
take Rodney a little bit more than Mike, but not much either.
Okay.
The police also take a bunch of pictures of workers on the tree farm and the family, but no one can identify a subject. Because it's 1985, like these pictures aren't like the pictures we have today.
Also, like, if it is like a generic white man, then everybody's kind of gonna look like that person.
Exactly, which I think why so many people called the police because they were trying to help, but it made them even more lost, to be honest. This causes the case to go cold. Now, they had statistics about the amount of cold cases and the solvability of these cases on cold case files, which I watched for one of my sources. But they aired this case in 2017. So I looked up some fresh research. And as of 2023, there are 19,718 cold cases. And only 1% of cold cases are ever solved.
Oh my God. That's such a small
Thankfully,
percentage.
I know. Thankfully, though, this is one of those cases.
I thought you were gonna leave me on a cold case, and I was like, ooh.
Girl, you know I hate the cold cases.
I know, that's why I was surprised.
From here on out, it gets a little bit wild. But this brings us to 4 years after the murder. In April of 1990, the police receive a phone call that someone has information on the Maurin case. The caller said their brother admitted to killing Ed and Minnie and laughed about it, saying it was his wife's, at the time, grandparents, and he got all of their savings as well.
I'm sorry, what?
Yes, this man's name was Scott Coulter. He was no longer married in the family, but he had burglaries on his record and was also involved in the drug world. So a pretty decent lead, the police are thinking. But they had nothing solid on him, and they knew that with Scott's dealing with law, he wouldn't talk because they knew he had nothing on him. So the police come up with this crazy made-for-a-movie plan. And on November 14th, 1990, the detectives trick Scott into thinking they are part of the mob.
What?
Yes. And that he would be initiated if he tells them basically some dirt on himself. And it's like money opportunity for Scott.
They're like, Scott, you come to us on the
Yes.
day of my daughter's wedding.
Yes.
I can't do accents. Sorry, guys.
Oh, that was definitely not Italian, and you are Italian. So our family's disgraced.
Yeah. Well, I don't look Italian at all either. He definitely got all the Polish genes.
But the detectives, they meet Scott at the airport, and Scott tells them about Ed and Minnie's murder.
Oh my God, how perfectly did this work out?
But his details are not correct.
Oh no.
He had the wrong gun in the wrong location, and this was literally information he could have gotten from the paper. So this man is
Okay.
just a big idiot and just wanted clout.
Cool. He would have been like such a little influencer nowadays.
Yes. So the police are just back to the drawing boards with this cold case, unfortunately. This brings us to May 2004, 19 years after the murders of Ed and Minnie.
Holy moly.
Bruce Kimsey, a young new detective in his 20s, says that this is the case he wants to solve. He grew up in Chileas and he knew how sweet Ed and Minnie were, and it's a case that just kept him up at night. He's awesome.
Bruce.
Team Bruce. So he gets everything on the case and starts reading it every single night. He goes through every single statement made of people who saw their vehicle the day of December 19th, and he creates a map that pinpoints the driving path all the way to where they were shot and dropped. So he finds the exact path. Bruce, the detective, also thinks that maybe family isn't the main suspect because Ed and Minnie were old school. They grew up during the Depression. They had multiple bank accounts with different amounts in it. If it was truly someone in the family, they could have gotten a lot more money.
Ooh.
Smart man, Bruce. Kimsey then takes the old grainy black and white photos and uses a software to clean them up so people can see the features better. And then he contacts every eyewitness to re-talk to them.
Every single one.
Every
He's just
single
like,
eyewitness.
Hey, it's me, Bruce. Got some questions for ya.
Why is Bruce Australian?
Because Bruce is an Australian name. I know
I
he's
guess
not for real Australian, but it's an Australian name.
Bruce also goes through all of the tips, and altogether they comb through like 800 tips from people.
This guy is dedicated, a true hero.
Someone you would want on a case like this if like you're part of the
Yes.
family. While this is all happening, so Bruce is fixing these photos, he's talking to people, he's getting witness statements, he's getting people to identify people in these photos. On November 12th, 2005, 20 years after the murder, Mike Hadler, the lead suspect in the Maurin's grandson, sees a friend from high school in a parking lot who tells him, "I'm sorry, please forgive me. I can't do this anymore. I have to tell you something. I've been in hell the past 20 years."
What?
This friend was Jake Shriver.
You've been in hell for the last 20 years? I'm sorry. What about my whole family? And two people are now dead, but you've been in hell? Oh, sorry about it, friendo.
Well, Friendo, let's talk about Friendo. In 1958, Jake Shriver was a 17-year-old kid.
He was 17?
On December 19th, the same day Ed and Minnie disappeared, his mom and him are driving down the highway. And Ed and Minnie's car pulls in front of them and is going pretty slow. So Jake tells his mom, "Pass this car, it's going too slow." And when his mom passes the car, he looks in as like one does when a car is going too slow or you pass it and you're like giving them a disappointed look. He looks in and he sees Ed and Minnie in the front seat and two other people in the back seat of the car. The two other people he saw, he knew. They were two brothers, Rick and Greg Reif.
Oh, so he didn't kill them.
No, 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 no.
Oh my gosh. Okay. A little bit less angry at this guy now.
I'm just messing with all your emotions today.
Yeah. Still angry. Still tell somebody what you saw. But I thought he was going to be like, "I've been in hell because I killed him." So a little bit less angry at him. Okay, keep going. Sorry.
So they're two brothers, Rick and Greg Reif. And I believe Greg's name was John, but he went by his middle name, Greg. Who, again, Jake knew because he hung out at the Maurins. He was friends with Mike, and allegedly they worked at the Christmas tree farm. Rick and Greg were criminals. They were established drug dealers and addicts of a neighboring town. A few days after the Maurins were killed, Greg, one of the brothers, walked up to Jake and was like, "Have you told anybody that you saw me and my brother Ed in Minnie's car that day?" And Jake says no. And then Greg tells him, "If you tell anyone, the same thing will happen to you. We will kill your mom, your brothers, your father, and then kill you."
Okay, now I'm not mad at this guy at all. That's terrifying. You know that he killed these people.
Exactly. So they threaten a scared 17-year-old boy. And after they threaten him, the Reif brothers drive by Jake's house almost daily to send him a message that they're watching.
Oh my God, this poor child.
Yes, this obviously makes Jake terrified to tell the truth. And he was in the cold case file episode I watched. And you can tell it still wrecks him till this day. But like, you were 17 and you were being threatened, your whole family was. Until this day, he carries a gun because he's traumatized from that situation.
Wow.
After he tells Mike, Jake ends up going to the police as well, which good on him. And he gives his admission statement. And this is a smoking gun that the police need because around this time, like we said, Bruce was working on this case with those enhanced photos and witnesses were picking out Greg and Rick Reif with these advanced photos. So they were already persons of interest. And with Jake's statement, they have admission of guilt. So now they're like, we can arrest these brothers finally. The police develop a theory. And sadly, we'll never know the truth but this theory. But they developed this theory that on December 18th, 1985, the night before the murders, Greg and Rick knocked on Ed and Minnie's door to rob them, knowing they had money.
Okay.
They searched the house for cash and only found those bank statements, which is why they were scattered over the living room. So the brothers stay until morning when they kidnap Ed and Minnie to the bank to take out the $8,500. Once the money is handed over, Greg and Rick sadly kill Ed and Minnie in their own car, take them to the woods, drag their bodies into the woods from their own car, and then go back to the Yardbird parking lot to drop the car off.
Real stand-up guys over here.
Terrible. The police also find out that shortly after the murders in 1987, Greg and Rick moved to Alaska, so they are no longer local.
They just, oh, we're out of here.
Yep. Now this is wild. But remember, Mike is hurt by the police because they thought he killed his own grandparents for so many years. And Mike also truly believes like an eye for an eye. So Mike Hadler goes to Alaska to take a job in the hopes of tracking down the Reif brothers to, quote, take care of the situation.
Okay, that's a lot. I think it's also interesting to be like, hey, I'm mad you thought I was a killer. I'm gonna go kill the real killers, making myself a killer.
Yes. But he's very angry, and I can understand the anger, to be honest, because most of the town and the police thought he killed his own grandparents, which he really loved and cared for, and like took them on errands and things like that. And
Oh
then he
yeah,
finds out
no,
they didn't.
I get it. I get it. I get it. And I hope that those stupid boys who did kill them, the real killers, I hope that their balls were cold the entire time they lived in Alaska and it was very uncomfortable for them.
It's a good hope. But Mike gets a job in Alaska. He's successful in that. And he's searching for the brothers when Mike's dad ends up calling him Dennis. And he's like, Mike, I know what you're doing. This isn't right. And grandma and grandpa wouldn't want you to do this. Please turn around and come home. And Mike, with full intentions to take care of the situation, doesn't know what comes over him, but decides to book a plane ticket home. Which, thank God, because this would have just been another tragedy in that family.
Maybe Ed and Minnie came over him.
Yeah, yes. Thankfully, though, with the detectives getting Jake's statement, they are able to get an arrest warrant, and the police start booking trips to Alaska. As the police are booking the flights, they find out that Greg Reif has died the same week the officers booked the ticket, allegedly of natural causes.
No way.
Yeah.
No, someone tipped this man off or something. There's no way.
Isn't that wild?
There's no way.
But they can still bring justice to the family and arrest a 53-year-old Rick. On July 8th, 2012, almost 27 years after the murder, the police are finally able to arrest Rick Reif. They go to his house and they're like, we don't know what we're coming into. You know, they're a little bit scared. And they go into his house and they're surprised to find him in very bad health. He's connected to an oxygen tank and everything. And Rick shows no surprise of being caught or arrested for this crime.
I think somebody tipped them off. I think somebody knew that the police bought the tickets and told them, like, hey, heads up, the police are coming for you.
Honestly, that's a good theory. I think that you might be right because he literally says something like, oh, I just need my medication or something really stupid like that.
And I don't think that other brother died of natural causes.
I tried so hard finding like his death certificate or something like that. And I only found in one article that it mentioned it was natural causes. So I don't know either.
Maybe he made it look natural.
That could be it.
They're only in their 50s.
They're young. That's why like he's attached to an
Yeah.
oxygen tank, but also like you lived a nasty life and you're gonna
Yeah.
have nasty karma consequences.
I was just going to say, karma.
Karma's the guy on the Chiefs coming straight home to me.
I keep my side of the street clean. I think if we sing too much, then we have to pay for rights.
Sorry, Taylor. We won't do any more. Anyway, they arrest Rick. And in October and November of 2013, they have a trial for this turd who claims him and his brother had no involvement of the killings, which is why we'll never know what really happened and just have that theory. Throughout the trial, 90, I'm going to repeat that, 90 witnesses testified about the events, and many identified Rick Reif and Greg, saying Greg and Rick used a friend's shotgun for the crimes and openly boasted about the abductions and killings.
Did they look like the sketch?
Yes. I don't know which one. One of the brothers for sure looked exactly like the sketch. These witnesses, just like Jake, withheld this information due to fear of a similar fate. It takes one person to tell the truth, and then you feel like others feel safe to do it.
Yeah.
It also comes out that before the brothers moved to Alaska, Kathy was dating Greg. So this girl, Kathy, testifies. She was dating Greg, the deceased brother. And after an argument and her threatening to leave, Greg responded with, "We've killed once. We can kill again."
What?
Yes. So just huge turd losers.
They just used this over everybody to get exactly what they wanted.
Exactly. Terrible people. Finally, on November 18th, 2013, nearly 28 years after the crime, the jury found Rick Rife guilty of all counts: 2 charges of first-degree murder, 2 charges of kidnapping and robbery, and 1 charge of first-degree burglary. The court also found him guilty on special allegations of lack of remorse, acting as an accomplice, and of the victims being particularly vulnerable because of their age.
Wow. Good for them to pin it out all on them.
Exactly. Despite remaining silent during his court appearances, his attorney disclosed that Rick expressed neither apologies nor remorse, asserting that he was innocent of the crimes, which lame.
Cool.
Rick persisted in proclaiming his innocence through an appeal, but thankfully was ultimately denied by a judge 2 years later. Rick was sentenced to 103 years in prison, so this man's is there until he dies. Rick is also ordered to pay more than $25,000 in restitution costs for expenses associated with the trial, the funerals of Ed and Minnie Maurin, as well as his extradition from Alaska to Lewis County, and the $8,500 he's supposed to pay back, which he stole, which I know they'll never see the money, but I love that they added that in there.
Yes.
You would think that this was it, but actually in 2014, Rick received an extra 6-year sentence for the sexual abuse of a 10-year-old girl in the 80s. That was allegedly his family member.
You're disgusting. You're disgusting, 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 disgusting.
And I know this jerk already had 103 years, but only 6 years added onto the sentence is honestly sickening to me. She was a 10-year-old girl. So he's terrible. But to end on a somewhat positive note, although the family will always grieve the 2 wonderful people that were Ed and Minnie Maurin, after the conviction, Dennis Hadler, the son, said, quote, "That took a big load off my shoulders because I made that promise and I was getting worried as I got older that maybe I was going to fail. But I had strong support from the prosecutor's office and the sheriff's office, and we were able to get a conviction," quote. So I just love that Dennis was alive and able to see his promise to his mom come true, and that they were able to figure out exactly what happened to them and get Rick behind bars. And that is the wild case that was cold for a while of Ed and Minnie Maurin.
Go Bruce.
Bruce
Is the moral of the story.
Yes. And I know it took him like 20 years, but also Jake for coming out and telling the truth. Because of you, they were able to get the arrest warrant.
Exactly. And a bunch of those other witnesses may have been older than he was at that time and could have came out. Like he was 17 and scared. So to be able to come out anyway is so brave.
Exactly. And then the touching up of the photos was such a good idea on Bruce's part because people were able to see the photos more clear and able to say, yeah, that is the guy, and not say, I'm not sure, maybe this is the guy. They were able to be more, convinced that that was the person they saw.
Mm-hmm.
But so sad that it was just this old, cute couple who unfortunately just had bad luck that these 2 idiots wanted money and thought they would be an easy target.
And they were an easy target because they were elderly.
Exactly. Which is why they had that one conviction for the vulnerable, particularly vulnerable. So really sad, especially around Christmas, a family dealing with that, and for over 28 years until the person that did it is found guilty, but wild.
Well, thank you guys so much for listening. Please give us a follow or subscribe on wherever you are listening to this podcast, and give us a follow on Instagram. We're at Bloodshed Baddies. And if you have any case suggestions or stories or just want to talk to us, you can always send us an email at bloodshedbaddies@gmail.com.
Give us a nice review, hit the follow button, share our podcast. Intro music is made by our awesome cousin Vinny. Look him up on all music platforms. He writes his own music. And tell a friend and have a very, very Merry Christmas and a very happy holiday season. We love you guys. Thanks again for listening.
Bye.
Love you.